Alrighty, how's it going, everybody? Matt here. I'm going to be broadcasting my presentation of my mystery plant today, number 16, because I will not be able to be with you next week. I am in California at a research conference. And so today I'm going to be presenting you with my mystery plant. So without further ado, let's get into it. Sorry, I have to share and record myself at the same time. Let's see if I can do it. Okay, you should be seeing a PowerPoint. Hopefully I'll see that in post. All right, so my mystery plant number 16 is Heminoxus grandiflora. It is also known as Old Man of the Mountain, which is how I know it. It is also known to some as alpine sunflower. Here's a gorgeous photo of it next to an alpine lake. But yeah, let's get into it. So as I mentioned, it is known as Old Man of the Mountain or alpine sunflower. Here it is doing its thing high in the alpine. If any of you recognize this peak, this is up in the Gothic Valley. So from where we were for our little flora field trip down on the road, that 2-track road that started moving up above us to Judd Falls, that trailhead right there, if you can continue up that and then venture yourself off trail, Avery Peak is right there. It's the giant red slab that is leaned over at about like a 35-degree angle. Pretty cool place to be, beautiful peak. And of course, you can see some of these wonderful flowers up there. Alrighty, so why is it called grandiflora? It's the largest flower in its genus. So in that Hymenopsis genus, as you can see right here, you're looking at some awesome ray and disc flowers with some really interesting patterning. I thought in the middle of those disc flowers, I thought it kind of looked like a flower itself, but of course that's just the spacing it has. Let's keep looking at it. So where are you going to find these? Alpine sunflower is found, of course, in the alpine. So alpine meadows, rocky slopes, or up in the tundra. It persists between 8,500 and 14,000 feet. Now, I personally didn't find any documentation of one at 14K, but in every source, they said it can get up to 14,000 feet. So if you happen to find one of these all the way up to 14,000, that is a pretty cool experience to be able to see one of these giant showy flowers that high. I mean, 2,000 feet in the alpine, pretty darn impressive, robust flower. Now it is found in Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, New Mexico, and I found that it's most prevalent in Colorado, specifically around here. This is a pretty popular local one. All right. It is most abundant and showy between June and August. You know, those early buds are coming out in May as soon as that snowpack is off, but it is most prevalent through June and August. And for some of the ones that are kind of get delayed in their phenology, right? They've been under snow all summer. They're coming up late, maybe July or August. They can persist all the way to September. So I thought that was pretty cool. Obviously they're probably nesting at that point. It's getting really cold in the alpine, but they can hang out for a really long time. Alrighty, how are you going to identify this one? To be noted, it has a ton of lookalikes for sure that persist within the same elevational range. So pretty key things to ID here. Of course, you're looking for that giant floral head. To me, it's the one I think of as the biggest flower in the alpine, at least biggest Asteraceae. I don't know if that's true. It's probably not, but that's the one I think of most commonly when you're up high. So for identification, it can be 15 to 30 centimeters tall. That's 6 inches to a foot, just a bit off the ground. Its leaves can be 7.5 to 10 centimeters long, 3 to 4 inches. It has one flower head per stem, but it can have up to 10 per plant. I see a bunch of these where there are multiple plants growing right next to each other too. So you can get displays of like 30 or 40 sitting around each other. It's always pretty cool. Each head has 15 to 44 ray flowers, which are 15 to 30 millimeters long. As you can see, wrapping all the way around there, all those different ray flowers. Now, one thing I noticed and is pretty common with these is that these ray flowers are getting beat up by the sun, by the wind, etc., and just kind of fading away. So a lot of times you'll see all those disc flowers being really prominent, and that head still being there, and the ray flowers are just like falling to the wayside behind it, or have all been plucked off. So that's another way to see it later in the season. And then it can have between 150 and 400 disc flowers. Huge range of variation there. It's probably due to the size of the head. Those can be between 5 and 6 millimeters long. Its seeds are 5-sided with a narrow scale at the tip. I don't have a picture of that, but if you're looking for some alpine sunflower seeds, I don't know if they're edible, but you could try it. Maybe don't, be cautious. All right, so what did I do? I actually made this little trail sign right here. I thought it was pretty cool to kind of personify the flower in and of itself. So, you know, you're taking your walk, you see this trail sign, and it's the flower saying hi, telling you a little bit about itself. So who am I? tells you its name. Phenoxys grandiflora and its common names. It's a member of the Asteraceae family, of course, our daisies, asters, sunflowers. In its genus, Hymenopsis, or rubberweed, there are 27 other flowers within that genus. It's the largest of those. Then the where can you find me? That's all the stuff I told you before, where it persists. How can you tell it's me? There's its identification traits. Just change the language up a little bit to be personified. And then one thing I thought was kind of fun to do at the bottom here was I included this little sheep. P.S. I produce sesquiterpene, lactone, hymenoxon. Maybe. Um, so that's a toxic chemical that is throughout the Hymenopsis family, and it is not generally toxic, but it is toxic to sheep. So we do have a lot of sheep herders that are up here in the Alpine, especially on the Uncompahgre Plateau, up above Kepler Pass, etc., and up above Kepler Pass, etc. And so they need to be pretty conscious of their sheep munching on these flowers. Just a good one to know. So one more thing I want to do briefly, I know I'm already over time, is talk about this real quick. So there's a lovely example of our friend grandiflora right there. Do you recognize what peak is in the background? It is South Maroon of the Maroon Bells, the most photographed mountains in America and nearly the world. Matterhorn surpassing in Switzerland, I believe. But one thing I wanted to note about this is a lovely trail. This is West Maroon Pass right here. You are just on the east side of West Maroon Pass where this photo is taken. And I personally absolutely love this trail. Here's a photo of me there last year. If you continued up from where we took our Gothic Valley little field trip, you continue up that road all the way to the top of Schofield Pass and then over, and then it's going to be your first trailhead on your right. Beautiful, beautiful place to go look at some flowers in the summer if you ever get the chance. Quick little note, all of these wonderful asters around me, all the yellow ones right there, those are not grandiflora. If you can't tell from the photo, they are a little bit too tall. Those are Helenthella quinquinaris. Sure, nodding dwarf sunflower. So that's another common lookalike, right? They're a little lower in elevation, but pretty prevalent up there. So you got to be looking out. Of course, you can always see the mix of other flowers up there. You got a bunch of paintbrush, some columbine, some Apiaceae over there. I'm not exactly sure which one, but yeah, just wanted to give a little recommendation. Super cool hike if you get the chance. Alrighty, well, I hope you all enjoy decorating your cookies, had a good final, and I will catch you in the future. Peace.